Hello everyone, this is Richard from the Mile 62 Running Channel. Hope you're having a great day. Today I want to talk about gait analysis, or um, what some labs call movement analysis. Um, I took a gait analysis about 3 years ago, and I learned a lot of things about myself, and I'm really glad I did. And I've had people ask me before, what is a gait analysis? What do they do? Well, today I'm going to go over my report and tell you what they did to me and what I learned in the analysis. The I took my testing at a place called Run Lab in Austin, and it took maybe a few hours. But let's get started. So the first thing they did for me is they laid me down and on a massage table and basically did many different movements to try to find out any weak points that I have, and just basically a movement analysis. And they found that I had a little bit of issue uh, in my feet, mostly the ankle, but very flat-footed, um, which is not a problem for me. It's what I knew. My knee was neutral, tibia neutral, hip was neutral. Um, no big findings here. But like I said earlier, they found that there was a little bit of a movement issue in my ankle. So they gave me some exercises to try to improve my mobility in my ankle. So you see that here they call it a mild decrease. So both ankles, just the range of motion was not really um, right neutral like it should be. Um, the posterior chain normal, joints normal, and the gait contact phase. One thing they did when they were checking my gait is they put me on a treadmill, and I had to run several times for a few minutes at a certain speed, and the treadmill had several different cameras on it, on left and right, one with forward view, and I believe it had cameras looking at the coming from the back of the treadmill too, and it was a special treadmill. But one thing they found out was I was a heel striker. Actually, I did not know this. I thought I was a midfoot striker, and nothing wrong with being a heel striker. Um, uh, Basically, conclusion was that my injury risk is moderate. They really told me that I didn't really have any issues. The only thing they found out during my gait analysis that my when I was doing the testing on the treadmill that my cadence was a little bit low. My cadence is about 168, and typically they say most runners they recommend to be in the 170 to 180 range, and so I've been trying to improve that. I have some tools on my Garmin watch that can help me monitor my cadence, but it wasn't a real bad number. It's just that I could improve myself by increasing my cadence. And Some of the recommendations that they gave me was I need to improve my eccentric strengthening, and eccentric is like a negative movement. So like when you do like a curl when you're late weightlifting, when you're engaging your muscles and pulling them up, that's concentric, and when you're letting them back out, that's a negative movement, which they call eccentric. So you can work eccentric movements with tibia and tibius anterior and other muscles with bands and other exercises. But the negative or the um, eccentric movement is a very important part and often overlooked in especially in weightlifting. I often see people like doing curls and or working their triceps and real quickly going up and then real quickly going down. But the down, the down or the eccentric movement should be slow. You can really build up a lot of strength in the eccentric movement. And that's what they told me. They told me that I really need to work on my eccentric strengthening, and I've been doing that. I've always done that in upper body, but I learned that I need to do that in the lower body. Also, they found out that um, the loading response uh, in my gait was moderately passive. Um, they said that I also need to work on the eccentric strengthening for my quadriceps. Um, they told me some exercises that where I could improve that. um, the gait findings from my mid stance, they found a little bit of issue on my left side. It was a little bit passive. Um, on the right side, no issue. And I had a little bit of an issue where my left side will swing, my foot will swing to my right side, and that will be shown later in the results. But I think this is part of the problem. I always have a feeling that before, and even now, I've been working on it, is I feel that um, my right leg is doing all the work and my left leg is just going for the ride. They tell me that's not the case, but I kind of get that feeling sometimes, and this shows that I do need to work on strengthening my left side, and that's what I've been doing. Um, but this was very interesting. I knew there's something up with my left side, and this showed me that that what I thought was correct. Um, the gait findings and pronation, everything was normal. Injury risk low. I was happy to find out about this. I've always worn neutral shoes, and in the past, when I didn't wear neutral shoes, I had problems with plantar fasciitis and other things, especially when I wore Nikes a long time ago when I was mainly a road runner. I didn't know any better. I just wore the shoes that I felt were comfortable. I didn't know anything about neutral or, um, you know, so, different types of shoes I didn't know anything about like I do today. But now I know that I definitely need a neutral shoe. I've got a very flat foot, and I didn't know that until I took this test. So I really learned a lot. And this testing cost me, I think, it was around $300. And after the testing, they showed me a bunch of exercises, and there was one follow-up visit too. So I think that there are a lot of labs around the United States and probably in other parts of the world, in Europe as well, that do this kind of testing, and it's not expensive, and you can really learn a lot on how to improve yourself as a runner. So I highly suggest it. Um, so um, this gait findings, the heel off, I think this was just another measurement they did when they were studying it with the camera. Everything was fine for that. Resupination, uh, no issue there for me. You can see that they're really doing a lot of different measurements with the cameras and trying to figure out if your movements, that's the whole key, is your movements correct. Terminal stance, I was fine as well. Um, this is where they found an issue, the gait, the swing. So they gave me some exercises, gluteus medius muscles. They gave me some exercises, more eccentric strengthening exercises to work on this. But I have a moderate crossover, and this is very visible on one of my shoes because if it's a soft EVA midsole, there'll be some wear on the inside on the exterior of the shoe. So what happens is when I'm running, my one of my feet comes across and swipes the other foot sometimes. I get that swing. I knew I was doing that, and they told me some exercises to work on that to prevent this. I still have that issue, but it's getting better. And so this is what the final findings were. Um, they told me I need to wear a neutral shoe. My foot is very flat, and they suggested offset of 0 to 8 millimeters. Actually, I wear both. I wear Ultra with um, from 0, and then I wear Hokas, which are around 6 millimeters. So I I change it up. My shoe rotation, I'm wearing Ultras and Hokas in the same week, and I think it helps me prevent injuries. And plus, I just get bored of wearing one type of shoe. But when I'm in a trail race, I'm always wearing Ultra shoes. And the reason is because I'm primarily running 100K and longer, and the Ultras have a large forefoot, and my feet are able, my toes have more room. My foot has more room because they tend to swell in a really long race, that's going to take 15 plus hours, and just works much better for me. So in trail races, I've always worn Ultra shoes. Um, in training, I wear some Hoka trail shoes, but we're talking about running 1 to 2 hours. But the last few years, just only worn Ultra trail shoes, and that includes the Temp and the Olympus. The Olympus is my main go-to shoe because it has a lot of cushioning and a lot of room. And here it says avoid arch support due to your anatomically flat feet. I have very flat feet, and in the past, I'm not kidding, I wore Nikes that had a large arch in there. I remember I used to wear Air Stabs for many years, all types of Nikes that some were neutral, some were not. I wore Asics that were not neutral because I thought they were just comfortable, but they're comfortable to walk in, but when you're running, you're going to put some stress on your feet that it doesn't need because your feet are designed a certain way. Either you have flat feet or you don't. So it's important to know the details about your feet, because I honestly didn't know. I primarily bought neutral shoes, but sometimes I did not. And since I did this in 3 years ago, I've only bought neutral shoes. I've had no problems, no foot injuries. I've had a little bit of soreness around the ball of my ankle, which is due to the nerve center there. I think that's just from getting older and overuse injury. But I haven't had no issues with plantar fasciitis or any other foot or leg injuries. No IT band issues or nothing since I started wearing the right shoes that are plenty big for my feet and flat for my feet. And it says a straight last is preferred over a curved last due to the shape of your feet. What this means is some of the shoes have a molded border and have a curve to it. Um, those are not best for my feet. Those sometimes people call those um, rails. Some shoes have rails, like even some Ultra shoes have rails. Some of the road shoes, I can't wear them. But those are usually those are non-neutral shoes. So yeah, if you're sticking with neutral shoes, I usually don't have this problem. But they say don't use a curved last. And like I said before, recommended shoes is the wider toe box to accommodate for bunions. I do have some bunions, but on the side of my feet, but you really can't avoid that. But if you do have bunions or bone bunions, it's best to wear shoes that are wide enough for your feet. So, overall, I thought this was very useful for me. I did this a few years ago. Some of the exercises I forget to do sometimes, but I've worked really hard on it, and I think I've improved myself. Another thing they told me to do is use a Bosu ball. It's basically a flat ball. It's like a half of a globe, basically, and it's usually blue, and it's a hat, and you put it on the ground. You can stand on this ball, and you try to balance yourself, and you can improve your balance, and also it strengthens your ankles and your muscles in your legs. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can do it standing on there with your eyes open. And if you want to kick it up a notch, you close your eyes. It really is a really good exercise. And a Bosu ball cost you about $50. But I also learned about those when I did this at the movement lab. I've never heard of them before, and it's easy to buy one of these Bosu balls. I highly suggest it. If you search Bosu ball, BOSU, on the internet or on YouTube, you'll see what I'm talking about. But those are very good for balance and building up strength in your legs. But that's it for today. I hope you learned something about what a movement analysis or Some people just call it a gait analysis, but actually a gait analysis is part of the movement analysis. So there are other things that they do other than checking your gait. In my situation, they checked my cadence. They asked me what kind of running I was doing. They knew I was an ultra runner or trail runner, and I brought the shoes that I use, I train in, and they really gave me a lot of suggestions on how I improve. And most often, this kind of testing is done by runners. So the people that put on these type of um, uh, tests are very experienced. They're, like I said, runners or PTs, and they really know what they're talking about. So I highly suggest get one done. It's not too expensive. Unfortunately, insurance doesn't cover it, but it's not too expensive, and it's like a half a day of learning about your body, and I think it really will pay dividends. Last thing I want to do today, I'm going to have another giveaway. I had a giveaway on my Strava video number 3, and it actually took a few videos before somebody won that prize. I guess people were not watching the video to the very end, but I will show you. So I have another trail racing over Texas item that I'm going to give away. This is a real nice trail racing over Texas. I guess you would say it's kind of a carry-on bag or duffel bag. It would be really good for keeping at an aid station with all your stuff during a trail race. Um, I'm going to give it away to someone who's living in the U.S. You need to live in the USA, otherwise the shipping is just too expensive. And you must be the first person to comment on this video. So if you're the first person to comment on this video, you'll win this new bag. And so I wish you luck. And I'm going to be having more giveaways. We're going to keep this fun. And so good luck on winning the bag. And stay tuned for more videos. I hope you have a great week. Bye for now.